August 15, 1971, a Sunday evening, millions of American families gathered around their television sets, expecting a normal presidential address. What they heard that night would silently destroy the value of every dollar in their wallets for the next 50 years. They didn't know it yet, but the rules of money had just been rewritten, and none of them had been asked permission. This is the story of the Nixon Shock. To understand what happened that night, we have to go back to 1944. World War II was ending, and the victorious nations gathered in a small mountain town in New Hampshire. They called it Bretton Woods. And here in this elegant hotel, the world's most powerful economists designed a new financial system, one that would tie every currency on earth to the American dollar, and the American dollar to gold. The promise was simple. $35 could be exchanged for 1 ounce of gold, always, forever. This was the anchor, the foundation, the trust that held the entire global economy together. And for 25 years, it worked. America prospered. The dollar was, as the saying went, good as gold. But then came Vietnam and the Great Society programs. Lyndon Johnson wanted to fight a war abroad and a war on poverty at home, and he wanted to do both without raising taxes. So America did what governments always do when they want something they can't afford. It printed money, billions upon billions of new dollars, flooding into the economy with no gold to back them up. Foreign governments noticed. The French were the first to get suspicious. Charles de Gaulle looked at America's spending, looked at America's gold reserves, and did the math, and he didn't like what he saw. So France did something brilliant and terrifying. It started exchanging its dollars as for America's gold, shipload after shipload after shipload, and soon everyone wanted out. By 1971, America's gold reserves at Fort Knox were hemorrhaging. The vault that had once held 20,000 tons of gold was being drained faster than anyone had imagined possible. Richard Nixon faced an impossible choice. He could keep the promise, honor the gold standard, and watch Fort Knox empty completely, or he could do the unthinkable. On August 13, 1971, Nixon summoned his top advisors to Camp David in complete secrecy. No press, no Congress, no foreign governments. For 2 days, they debated behind closed doors, and when they emerged, they had made a decision that would change everything. August 15th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Nixon appeared on national television, and with calm, measured words, he broke the promise. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold. Temporarily, that word, temporarily, was perhaps the greatest lie ever told about American monetary policy, because that temporary suspension never ended. The next morning, global markets panicked. Stock exchanges from London to Tokyo didn't know how to price anything anymore. For the first time in history, the dollar was backed by nothing except a government's promise and a printing press. And then came the inflation. The 1970s became a nightmare of rising prices, gasoline, food, housing. Everything got more expensive, year after year after year, because now there was no limit to how many dollars the government could create. Now, fast forward 50 years up to today. The United States national debt is over $34 trillion, a number so large it's almost meaningless. How did we get here? The answer goes back to that August night in 1971. When Nixon severed the dollar from gold, he removed the anchor, the one thing that limited government spending. Now the Federal Reserve can create trillions with a keystroke, and they have, during every crisis, 2008, 2020, and counting. Each time the money supply explodes, your savings become a little less valuable. Since 1971, the dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. What cost $1 then costs $7 now. This isn't an accident. This isn't a coincidence. This is the system, working exactly as designed. But here's what they don't teach you in school. When the government creates new money, that money doesn't reach everyone at the same time. The banks get it first, the wealthy and well-connected get it second, and by the time it reaches you, prices have already gone up. This is why, despite decades of economic growth, the middle class feels like it's drowning, why a single income can no longer support a family, why homes that once cost 3 times your salary now cost 10 times. The money itself is broken. And now, in 2024 and 2025, we're watching something extraordinary. Countries around the world are quietly moving away from the dollar. China, Russia, Brazil, India. They're making deals in their own currencies. They're buying gold. Again, history is starting to rhyme. The same pattern that led to the Nixon shock is happening again. Massive government spending, a ballooning debt, foreign nations losing trust in the dollar. The question isn't if the system will change. The question is when and what comes next. August 15, 1971, the day money changed forever, the day the gold standard died, and the day that permanent inflation became our new reality. 50 years later, we're still living with the consequences, and most people still don't understand why. The printing press is still running, the debt is still growing, and the value of every dollar in your pocket is still slowly burning away.